Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to another teaching of Glory Road. We're going to be talking today about how to effectively walk in this earth as if all things are already yours. How to access everything that God has already given to you, whether it's your destiny or whether the provision to carry out your destiny. The very attitude we have to have in order to be ambassadors of Christ and be the representatives of God. We have got to understand this part and we've got to put it into motion. So let's go over here to our foundational reading, which is going to be found in Isaiah chapter 46, verses 9 and 10. And pay real close attention to these verses. Tommy, thank you so much for coming, man. So over here in Isaiah chapter 46, starting in verse 9, it says, "Remember the former things of old, for I am God, and there is none else. I am God, and there is none like me, declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times the things that are not yet done, saying, My counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure." Now, what God is showing us here is He's showing us a way that we can live in the earth and be guaranteed that what God says concerning your life or concerning your destiny will stand forever, and that there is nothing that can knock you down, take you out, take you from God's hand. If God has said something about you, let me tell you right now, it is true. You can take it to the bank because He's already said in His Word in Numbers, I believe, chapter 23. Or Numbers 19:23, that says, "God is not a man that He should lie, neither the Son of Man that He should repent. Hath He not spoken, and shall He not make it good?" Yes, because whatever God says is upheld by the fact He said it. So we need to learn to put our confidence in what God says. So He says this. He said He declares the end of a thing from the very beginning. And I think a lot of times we read scriptures like this and we're really not sure what God is saying. I mean, Lord, what's your point? What do you mean you declare the end from the beginning? What He's trying to tell us is this. A lot of times in our lives, when you're beginning to start some kind of venture, maybe you have a dream or a vision. Maybe there's something you want to become. Maybe something that's in your heart that you want to express to the world, but you don't know how to make it happen. It's so much bigger than you are. How do you begin to manifest that? How do you begin to communicate those dreams, visions, desires, or even answered prayer? How do you get things to work and to manifest? Well, the easiest way to do it is to think the way God thinks, because the way He has decreed and declared something, it is a guarantee. He said it. Now, since He created man in His image, we have the ability to walk like He walks and talk like Him, to think like Him. So if God's already telling us that His way of speaking and His way of declaring and decreeing is a guarantee for the results to come to pass, then I want to spend my days figuring out how He decrees, how He declares things, and what does He see when He decrees something. Well, He's already told us He sees the end of the thing that He decrees. In other words, if He says, by His stripes you were healed. Well, when your body's feeling and seeing sickness, you have to begin to see the end result of your sickness, which is healing. Most people see death. They get a bad report from a doctor, and the only thing they can see is death, and they start preparing it. Why? Because the doctor's words themselves are usually saying, well, you got 6 months. You see, the doctors are decreeing the end result. But the end result doesn't come from a good report, it comes from an evil report. I mean, when you hear a doctor say something like that, or if you hear your employer say, well, we're going to let a few people off here in the next couple of months, and you start thinking, oh my gosh, what about me? Did he tell me that because he might be letting me go? That kind of thing. Well, we can't see and fear those things that have an evil report, things that will make us feel as though we're not going to make it. We're going to fail. We're going to die. We're just going to miss the mark. We have to learn to decree things from God's position. He sent you and me here because He sent us to accomplish something for Him. He sent us fully loaded, fully equipped to be successful. When God sent you here, He didn't plan for failure. And yet the moment we stepped into this world, that's what we started to find out, is that all the pressures of life come on us. I mean, even as a child, there are a lot of young people in elementary school, middle school, high school that are under so much stress and pressure to become what society says they should be, instead of finding out from God who they already are and just believe what He says and have that end result, that end picture of success, and keep it before them so they can see every day what God has already said is finished. So God sent you here to begin what He already finished. See, He declares the end of your life. And when I say the end, I'm talking about the fruition of it. The end of the death of the seed is the tree full of the apples. See, the apple seed will die, but the end of it is it's going to become a tree full. It doesn't mean the tree dies. It just means the seed dies, but yet it becomes the fullness of the life that was in the seed. Well, you're no different. Now, can you imagine that most Christians talk negatively about their future? They talk negatively about the government, the president, the negativity about the school system, what the kids are going through, negativity about their employer, their boss, their money. Everything is negative because they're seeing a negative result. But if everybody would begin to see how everything they do, every place that their foot treads upon and everything their hands touch would prosper, increase, be successful, see, now we get a proper picture of how God sees us. He doesn't see us sick, down and out. He doesn't see us where we're lagging in anything or lacking in anything. He sees us where we're the fullness of Him that filleth all in all. Now that's the way God does. Now wouldn't it just make a total different outcome in our lives if we began to talk that way? Instead of seeing yourself sick, act like you're healed, even when your body feels sick. That's how you begin to tell your body, no, we're not going by your blueprint. We're going by this other blueprint that says by His stripes you're healed. When you look in your wallet and you don't see anything, well, what does God say? He says, I give you all things to richly enjoy. You see, He's blessed you with all spiritual blessings in heavenly places. Isn't it good to wake up every morning and then have that kind of image? God declares the end from the beginning. So when you get up in the morning, how's the end of your day going to be? Well, I'll tell you one thing. You had the boss I had. You'd know exactly how it's going to end. I'm going to come back having done all the work in that day. Nobody else helped me out. I had to take care of this and take care of that. And the boss didn't compensate me at all. He basically just scolded me because I didn't do it the way it should have been done. But I mean, I'm doing somebody else's job kind of thing, So, but what if you woke up in the morning and everything was going to be great, man? And you just said, I tell you what, I'm going to be the prophet of my day. And I'm going to decree that today is a blessed day and not just some cliche, well, God bless today. No, when you get up acting as though today's a blessed day, it's empowering. It is a day that I'm going to be a blessing to others. I'm going to empower others. I'm going to tap into their potential and show them what God sees about them, even if they can't see it. You be the person that steps into any crowd with that kind of attitude. Every eye will be on you, the ones that are looking for change, because they're going to hear your words. They're not going to be like the words of their neighbor that says the complaining. You know how misery loves company. Everybody's complaining about everything, the country and their money and their everything. Find somebody that says something positive, that has hope. And you begin to connect to people like that. Now you'll see something others don't see. You'll start having an expectancy for a better outcome. And we find that Paul wrote about this over here in the book of Romans concerning Abraham. Listen to this. He says, as it is written, Romans chapter 4, verse 17, as it is written, I have made thee a father of many nations before him whom he believed, even God, who quickeneth the dead, and calleth those things which be not, as though they were. Now God declares the end of a thing, which is always fruitful, from His perspective. He calls that fruitful thing at the end that you can't see at the beginning, as though it's already fruitful. So He never sees the thing lacking. He always sees something fruitful. So he declares it fruitful even before it becomes fruitful. And what makes it become fruitful is the fact he declared it fruitful, because his word is what makes it happen. So when our words decree the end of a thing at the beginning of a thing, then what you're actually doing is calling those things which be not fruitful yet as though they were. It's the same principle. This is how we walk by faith. This is the law of faith. This is how we are to pray. We are to decree, mountain, move. Well, the mountain's there, right? Yeah, but you're calling things which be not as though it were. You're not telling the mountain to move. You are decreeing the mountain is moved. See, that's what gives the mountain the direction to leave. You see that? The circumstance, you're not just telling it to leave and just say, get out of my way. You're actually, the best thing to do is decree what you'd rather be there except that circumstance. Decree the thing that you want to be there, that you expect to be there. This is the reason why God says in His Word that by His stripes you were healed, because when sickness is in front of you, He doesn't say deny the sickness. He says deny its right to exist in you by constantly having the idea, the confession of the healing power of God's Word. Always talk like you're healed. Always talk like no weapon formed against you will prosper. Now, this is a mystery of the kingdom. And once we surround ourselves around the understanding of how this mystery works in our lives, then we experience the miraculous. We experience that divine favor. Now, listen to this. This is very interesting. Once a miracle takes place and we understand how it happened, then it becomes the new technology. See, if once we know how we are to function the way God does, and we find out we can function that way, we can call things which be not as though they were, we can declare the end of a thing at the beginning of it, we can declare our success. I mean, the Lord spoke to me several years ago, and He told me to tell my kids that you'd be standing before 50,000 people, and you'd be singing or speaking or doing something, and they'd all fall out in the Spirit. Now, they can't even see themselves at the moment standing before 200 people. You see that? But if they would hold on to the word of the 50,000, then God would call the thing that He's already decreed to be done and start manifesting it more and more in their lives. This is the way faith works. This is the way God gives, the reason why He gives us words. This is why He'll send a prophet in your life to speak a word, to give you something to see with your imagination over what you see with your eyes, because He's trying to show you the end result. Now, if we'll talk like what He showed us in His Word is real, then we'll be applying this principle of calling things which be not as though they were. This is not magic. This is heaven's technology. This is what you and I were equipped on the inside to live daily. I encourage you, do it today. Believe the best about yourself. Believe that there's a grand plan that's going to take God's presence and your faith and heaven's technology to walk out in this earth, and submit yourself to it. God bless you today. Until we meet again, I'm Adam King. Bye-bye.